What's up, guys? Welcome back to Right Side. Today, I want to talk about the art of the slippery slope. Ah, yes, the slippery slope. Everyone's favorite logical fallacy, and the only thing people seem to remember from their English classes. Cited so much, the accusations themselves seem to turn into their own slippery slope. One site I found that defined a slippery slope goes as follows. The slippery slope fallacy is a logical fallacy that claims one event or action will lead to another, more extreme event or action. While ad hominem is a daily tool in politics, accusing someone of the slippery slope is up there. Nowhere else is a slippery slope accusation more prevalent than in discussions surrounding the alphabet mafia, as Bill Maher calls them, the LGBTQ community. It all started, primarily, if not totally, with the gay rights movement. The original gay rights movement was based on a presupposition that someone could not choose who they were attracted to, that they weren't choosing to be homosexual, but just are. There are scientific findings that the part of the brain that dictates and controls attraction is also in the part of the brain that we cannot consciously control. To me, though, whether or not you control your attraction doesn't really matter. Your sexual attraction manifests itself no differently than any other type of impulse you might have. You want things every day, but have the free will to choose whether or not you give in to those desires. There is a moral hierarchy of sexual activity. This shouldn't be controversial, but heterosexuality is the proper structure for human relationships outside of friendships. This divine design allows our civilization to grow, be fruitful, multiply, and foster a healthy, loving, ordered society. Men and women are made for each other. If what you're hearing sounds radical, extreme, or far right, that's because our political discourse has diluted what conservatism means. Supporting gay marriage is not conservative. The fact that that doesn't seem to be the case in the mainstream showcases just how weak and spineless conservatives have been. Here's the harsh, perhaps, truth about gay rights, the LGBTQ community, and gay marriage. Your subconscious, uncontrollable attraction or desire for something doesn't give you the green light to pursue those desires. One fantastic example is pedophilia. Going back to what I said before, it doesn't matter really whether or not these people are choosing to be attracted to children. What matters is that they don't pursue those desires. This incident proves a principle that one's innate, subconscious desire or impulse doesn't give one justification to pursue that attraction. This principle gives the individual a duty to abstain from disorderly or immoral sexual activity, regardless of their attraction. Well, that isn't until the left successfully normalizes pedophilia under the guise of maps or minor attracted persons, but that's for the slippery slope portion of the video. Hell, that might only be 10 years away from being a conservative position. Marriage is between a man and a woman. Not only is this objectively moral, given to us in multiple forms through scripture and therefore God, but this is also something we know deep down thanks to our natural, God-given common sense. If the natural proper order for a family wasn't a man and a woman in marriage, why would the only way to naturally conceive a child mandate and require the parts of a man and a woman? We aren't an asexual species where women can get themselves pregnant without the input of a man. With that said, the argument against gay marriage laws hinges upon the 14th Amendment's Equal Protection Clause. Here's why that doesn't exactly hold up. For one, I could cite the rhetoric of the alphabet mafia and say that sexual orientation and attraction are fluid, never changing, and thus gay marriage is a choice among straight marriage. Therefore, the state reserves the ability to incentivize certain choices and prohibit others altogether. This argument kneecaps the gay marriage push and is exactly why the LGB has tried to distance themselves from the TQ. While they can try to distance themselves, the argument still stands even if I agree that attraction is innate and unchangeable. Discrimination laws concerning marriage were at the center of gay marriage in the Equal Protection Clause. Looking deeper into the Equal Protection Clause application, we hit the importance of immutability. Cornerstone traits considered immutable and things that warranted further legal protection are things like race and sex. These things make sense. You can't hide or physically act differently outside your race or sex. No matter what you do, you'll always be white, black, or male or female. Disability is another one that falls into this category. They can't help the disability and thus shouldn't be treated differently. Sexuality and sexual orientation are different, however. As I established earlier, mere attraction doesn't void free will. Pedophiles are attracted to children, but we don't just encourage them not to pursue their desires, we criminalize their sexual attraction altogether. How does this extend to homosexuality and gay marriage? Well, whether or not they can control their attraction is immaterial and doesn't really impact the merit of gay marriage. Free will does, however. If we can all agree that heterosexual marriage, with a natural balance of a father's masculinity and a mother's femininity, is a superior family structure for a healthy society, and just like how we can and do force those with attractions for children not to pursue and instead suppress those desires, we can recognize the superiority of heterosexual relationships through marriage while also giving homosexual couples the same legal protections like divorce and asset distribution through civil unions without the tax incentives of marriage. This way, homosexual couples can choose to enter a civil union, and society can still recognize the innate social benefit of heterosexual couples through marriage. Now, here is why the acceptance and normalization of gay marriage leads to the slippery slope that we see seemingly every day in trans ideology. Putting aside the slogan championed by gay rights activists that love is love, which, considering our earlier discussion about how we view and legally interact with adults and children, is deeply troubling, the implications surrounding gay marriage destroy the foundational bedrock of a healthy and orderly society. The argument against gay marriage lies in the social benefit of heterosexual relationships and its superiority to society over any other orientation of relationships. There is a difference in the roles of a father and a mother that only heterosexual relationships can provide a child. Gay marriage inherently posits that a homosexual family structure is sufficient in providing that child with the balance of masculinity and femininity found in straight families. The implication drawn from that proposition is that the roles of mother and father are interchangeable. Thus, the line between men and women is blurred. If gay and straight families are equal, then men can play the role of mothers and women can play the role of fathers. Now, does this occur with single fathers and single mothers? Well, they try their best, and we should thank and support them for doing so, but we would never submit that women can father just as well as men do, and vice versa. This blurring of the lines courtesy of gay marriage puts the biologically determined, not socially constructed, gender roles directly into question. With gender roles in contention, in comes a TQ that some of the LGB try to distance from. If men can mother and women can father, there exists no difference between men and women, only a distinction in language. What this then begs is the question, what is a woman? If a woman can not only mother, but father as well, then what does that make them?
The baby has been able to latch, but I've not been able to produce any milk. It's okay, because we're gonna supplement the feeding with formula so that my baby's still getting the nutrients that they need. I appreciate you so much for all your work. And I appreciate you also, baby. I couldn't die without you.
What does it mean to be a father or a mother? Obviously, of course, a woman is an adult human female and is the only one capable of being a mother, just as a man is an adult human male and is the only one capable of being a father. And this isn't meant to be a direct indictment of gays or lesbians. In fact, there's a sizable segment of the LGBs that don't support gay marriage because of the logical progression of trans ideology that gay marriage presents. The real shame in all of this is that everything I said in this video was ruthlessly mocked and caricatured 10 to 15 years ago, but sadly, all came true. Not to say that every gay individual was a participant, but having books like Genderqueer in public schools or having drag queen story hour normalized doesn't come without the first stepping stone of gay marriage. From gay marriage, everything else flows. Gay marriage holds the individual's sexuality in paramount importance over duty. When your sexuality is of paramount importance, you get to rank the degeneracy of kink and pride parades. You get pride flags in public school classrooms, and you get pornography in school libraries. When self-identity is of paramount importance, you get the butchering of the mentally ill, those with gender dysphoria, and also autism. You get the mutilization and sterilization of children, which is actually more problematic than the issue leads on. How? Well, whenever the topic of minors getting sex change operations comes up, I hear people frequently ask and question why there's a push to allow minors to consent to these transition surgeries in the first place. These are honest questions, and the answer is much simpler than people make it out to be. Why would the left and trans activists fight so hard to lower the age of consent for sex change operations? Easy. If they can codify into law a new precedent for the age of consent for minors getting transitioned, then the argument for lowering the age of consent for other types of physical activities is easier to make. And before you accuse me of a slippery slope again, you should know better, considering everything I presented in this video so far, because the left and the trans lobby are already slowly rebranding pedophilia under the guise of MAPS, or minor attracted persons. Now, while this push is still merely growing the halls of academia thanks to sickeningly evil so-called academic scholars, let me remind you that if you told someone back in 2015, when gay marriage was recognized by the Supreme Court, then in 10 years, there would be a serious push from the LGBTQ alphabet mafia to butcher little kids for thinking or being groomed into feeling that they were born in the wrong body, they'd call you a religious radical extremist engaging in a slippery slope yourself. Everything about the left and trans lobby is about normalization and slowly stretching the borders of society. There is no limit to depravity, no social norm too sacred. In the end, the slippery slope isn't a fallacy when it's a pattern. What was once dismissed as fear-mongering has become a reality time and time again. The rapid descent from tolerance to celebration, from acceptance to enforcement, has shown us that no line is ever truly respected, only redrawn further and further until nothing remains of what once held society together. The truth is, this isn't about marriage or even gender. So whether we live in a world governed by order, duty, and objective truth, or one ruled by self-indulgence, delusion, and chaos. If you compromise on first principles, don't be surprised when the ground beneath you gives way. The slippery slope is real. Unless we recognize it, call it out, and stand firm, we'll keep tumbling down one conservative concession at a time. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, hit the like button. If you'd like to support and help the channel grow, become a member, subscribe, and ring the bell so you're updated with all my uploads. Finally, whether you agree or disagree, leave your thoughts in the comment section below. I look forward to engaging with you guys in respectful and thoughtful discussions. With that said, see you next video. See ya.